Once again, before I get to the subject matter of this video, I have to again address something from a previous video. Once again, the phone call from Narcissistic Mother. My last video I opened up with a preamble about that video, about the comment of my mother being a feminist. And I opened up that video, my last video, with the explanation: my mother's not a feminist. She's a George Bush Republican. Okay? And even though I'm not a fan of feminism and would love to, do a rant on it, which I haven't done, okay, my mother's not a feminist. And I left it at that and moved on with the rest of the video. I didn't even bash feminism. I just said I didn't approve of it, and I could do a rant on it. And based on that, I have gotten 7 private messages calling me an MRA asshole, some kind of genital mutilation, like, of women trying to goad me, insult me. And I got news for you. Like, if you think I'm going to play your game or play that game, you are sorely, sorely mistaken. For you to get so butthurt over not even me bashing feminism, for just saying I don't approve it, for having a differing opinion, you're going to attack me. It was also pointed out that I was also attacked on Facebook in one of the Narcissism boards, which is why I don't post in there. I post my videos and I leave it, because I am not going to sit there and argue with people who want nothing more than to start a fight. Women accusing me of being an abuser. One was I was an abuser. Another one was like I was a Ray Rice supporter. I beat my girlfriend in an elevator. Are you serious? And these are people who are supposed to be in a narcissist recovery? As I said, my major problem with those Facebook boards is they are riddled with narcissists in disguise. Riddled with narcissists in disguise. I don't know, somebody who gets so upset over somebody just saying I have a different opinion than you. That doesn't sound like a victim. That sounds like an attacker. An MRA asshole. I had a look. That's a men's right activist. I guess that's like the new slogan. If God forbid you say something about feminism. All I'll say about feminism is this. Okay, everybody should be treated equally, bottom line. But I'll say this about feminism: you won't find any feminists in divorce court or family court. There are none to be found. None. And until women step up, okay, and admit there's a problem in our divorce courts and in our family courts, okay, this argument's going to continue. Because it's one of the greatest hypocrisies, okay, at least in the United States. I mean, I know Canada's got some pretty brutal divorce laws and child custody laws as well. You don't find any feminists there. I am not going to go back and forth and argue with you. I am not, because you're not on my level. I'm not going to have a ridiculous debate about and then have feminism. It seems like every time you tell a feminist like you're against them, they give you the dictionary definition of what feminism is. And if you ask one of these monkeys, because that's what they are, they're flying monkeys, and they react just like a monkey would react. Ask one of these monkeys, these flying monkeys, what's feminism about? Where did it start? Where did it get its roots? They don't know. They don't know. One of the leaders of feminism, Margaret Sanger, founder of Planned Parenthood, which was a cover to eliminate the black race. Oh yeah, eugenics. That's the history. That's your history of feminism. And as far as the one saying, do I beat my wife in an elevator like Ray Rice, the football player? Let me say this, and I'm going to leave it at this. Okay, I don't know what happened in that elevator. I wasn't there. Saw a video of him dragging her out. Okay, he says he took responsibility. There was more to the story. That's fine. I would never hit a woman. I would never hit a woman unless I absolutely had to. So here's my question, or here's my statement, because it's basically a rhetorical question. If Jodi Arias's boyfriend, and for those of you who don't know, Jodi Arias is a girl from Arizona who murdered her boyfriend, stabbed him 50 times, shot him in the face 8 times, tortured him, and murdered him, left him for dead, and she's about to go to the penalty phase. She's found guilty of first-degree murder. If Jodi Arias's boyfriend saw the attack coming and knocked her out and then threw her out of the room unconscious, and there was a camera outside the room, all you would have seen is him dragging her out. And how would you have known the difference? Women can't be abused. That was another one. Women can't be abusers. That's why we need feminism. Really? Really? Women can't be abusers? Because I sure as hell was abused by one. And most of my subscribers, okay, were abused by women. So let's not act like the problem with violence is all men. Women are just as prone to violence as men are. Women are just as prone to violence as men are. But we'll sit here and we'll act like you're not. Men are bigger, men are stronger. Of course, we have the advantage. And you should never, ever lay your hands on a woman unless you absolutely have to and your life depends on it and your safety depends on it. And if you think that there's no way that a woman can hurt a man, it happens every day. When I was a firefighter, EMT, okay, we rode plenty of domestic calls. I said it was about a 60-40 split in my town when we were taking. 60% men, 40% women. Still a high number. 40% of the women would get violent, beat their husbands, throw scalding water on them, really cause some fucking damage. Firsthand. But you are so butthurt over me just saying, I don't agree with not even going into anything, not bashing a feminist, just saying one was pointed out to me on a Facebook page. I heard that statement, I didn't go any further. Well, then unsubscribe. Then don't watch my videos. If you can't handle somebody just offering up a different opinion, you got to shut down and run. You really need to evaluate. And you're on a narcissism board, you really got to evaluate. Am I really the victim or am I the narcissist and am I the abuser? I'm not going to go back and forth with you. This will be the last time I'm going to address this. And I'm annoyed that I've already spent almost 10 minutes talking about it. I don't agree with that. 7 separate And it's not one person. It's 7 different women from all over. And here, you know, the funny part is, if I wanted to, I could string them all together and prove to them how they're all one big cookie cutter, basically using the same mind, because it's the same. Attacking me personally, calling me an MRA asshole, attacking my genitalia. What's wrong with you? I'm not going to go back and forth with you. And I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of even calling you out by name. Because I don't want to give you the attention you deserve, that you think you deserve, or you want me to shut. I don't know what you want. 7 of them. And then there was a Facebook on one of the Facebook pages. There was like, it was pointed out to me there was 2 or 3 more complaining that I said I didn't like. Really? A differing opinion, huh? That's a shame. That's a real shame. On the subject of monkeys and flying monkeys and enablers, you know, I think the enabler a lot of times is more dangerous than the actual narc, because I think the enabler is actually a narc in disguise a lot of times. In that, in my case, my father hid behind my mother's crazy to be the victim of, oh my God, look how crazy. Poor Brian is crazy Laura. And then I was thinking on again on my first marriage and how I ended up with her. And I came to the conclusion, or not even the conclusion, the realization that my ex-wife had the exact same family dynamic of narcissism that I did. And that's why I ended up with her, because it was familiar to me. See, but in her family it was reverse. See, her father was the moody, childlike son of a bitch. Or he could be. There was times I got along with him. He passed away like 3 years ago. And, you know, I didn't wish him dead. I still don't. Because I got to know his family. And this is really going to serve as almost part 1 to my ex's family, because they are really fascinating. Another fascinating case study in narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, enabling spouses, narcissistic grandparents again. Whereas my ex-father-in-law's mother was another classic mean, evil narcissist. Evil narcissist. And the grandmother, the father, and then later on my ex-wife, all cut from the same mold. They bully, they use silent treatments, they use nastiness, they use separation to control you. And I'm going to go into great depth into my ex-wife's family, because it's going to help. Because so many of you and so many of us end up with narcissistic spouses, and where the cycle continues. Well, I'm like, well, why does that happen? I'll tell you why it happens. Because if you look at your narcissistic, I guarantee you 90% of the time, if you look at your narcissistic spouses, or there's a significant other, whoever that person was, family, they have almost an identical structure of narcissism and personality disorder abuse that you do. And it's the same thing with my ex-wife. My ex-wife was the oldest. She has a brother that's 11 months younger than her. She is the black sheep. She was always the laughingstock. The whole family made fun of her all the time. They picked on her, made fun of her. Led by her father and her younger brother, Baby Huey, as I come to call him. A 45-year-old man who still lives with his mother. We're going to get into all of that. It's a fascinating story. A 45-year-old man with a Penn State degree. No, I'm sorry. No Penn State degree. Went to Penn State for 4 years, decided his last semester, I don't want the responsibility of a Penn State degree. Partied, and then disappeared on the day he was supposed to graduate. Didn't tell anybody. Okay? He was the golden child. He could do no wrong. He could do whatever he wanted. Parents went and worked 2 jobs to put him through Penn State because they had some kind of delusion. The father had a delusion back in high school of him playing for Penn State football. But the excuse was then made after he went crazy, that supposedly went crazy, and he didn't go crazy, he was just lazy and didn't want the responsibility. Oh, well, he really did that because he got hurt. He hurt his knee in high school, and he couldn't play Penn State football. And I said, you know, and I had said to my ex-wife pretty early on, I said to her, look, your brother is just fat. Guys who play, they thought he was going to be a lineman for Penn State. Guys who play Division I football on the offensive line are monsters, are physical monsters. You wouldn't believe how big these guys were. When I was director of security for Macy's in Herald Square, we had tons of athletes that would come in for signing events. You know, they would endorse a product, then we would sell the product for them, and with a purchase, they'd come and they'd sign order. All of them. All of the Jets, Giants players, you know, of the late 80s, late 90s, early 2000s, we had them all. Baseball players too. The Mets, the Yankees, all the time. Even the smallest baseball player is bigger than my ex-brother-in-law. He's just fat. He was never going to play. But much like my family, her family thrives on getting people to pity them. It was always a pity party. Pity, pity, pity. It's a pity party. The whole family should have went out and got Born to Lose tattoos across their chest. Because nothing ever went right. You know, they lived in a shitty house and they never had any money. But meanwhile, they had a Corvette, the father had a Corvette in the garage, the biggest above-ground swimming pool you've ever seen in the backyard, 3 brand new cars, but they only had 1 bedroom divided up with dressers to make separate rooms. Their hot water heater was outside their house. But yet they would play, pity me, pity me, pity me, pity me. And like I said, the father and the grandmother were nasty, would be nasty when they didn't get their way. Outright nasty, stomp around, moody, constantly. It was to the point that the grandmother basically died alone. The father really had no friends. They had 1 set of friends that they followed down to South Carolina when they bailed out. When they bailed out right before me and my ex-wife got married in 1999. They just picked up and said, we're moving to South Carolina. They were gone. They left us with his mother, this bitch, to take care of. And at the time, her brother, who was 4-year degree, almost a 4-year degree, even though he didn't get the degree, a 4-year education. couldn't do anything else but work in a liquor store. But then he got this 18-year-old girlfriend just out of high school, and he was like 25 at the time. And she was a Pakistani, I think, supposed to be in an arranged marriage, and his parents flipped out, and he had this whole secretive relationship. And I met the girl. I remember when the first time I met the girl, I could see she wasn't really into him. I could see what it was really about, because he was carrying all her college school books. And what happened was, he did all of her college work, got her through 4 years of William Patterson University in New Jersey, got her degree for her. And then on the day of the graduation, she dumped him. She dumped him and then ran off with someone else. There was a lot in between there, like eventually having to try to move his mother out of a house in Bergenfield to move down to South Carolina, because I finally had said, I'm not doing this anymore with your grandmother. She's not our responsibility. I said this to my ex-wife. She's not our responsibility anymore. They had just left and dropped her on us, this evil woman. And then when she decided to move, he barely even came up to help her pack. It was my ex-wife and her brother at the time, this is when he was still with the girl, was nowhere to be found. They didn't see him. He abandoned the whole family for 2 years. And other than the years he lived away at college, those 2 years are the only time he hasn't lived with his mother. To this day, that dude moved down after she broke up with him. He had to move down to South Carolina, had to move in with his mommy and daddy because he had nothing. And since that day, his only job is working in a cell phone store with a 4-year college degree. The father died. The mother did nothing but make excuses for him. Make excuses for him. And then what the mother would do, my ex-wife's mother, who, comes off as this mousy, oh, I'm not really that bright, and she plays this game that I've realized. Like, much like my father, she was the one pulling the strings, because she was hiding behind her husband, my ex-father-in-law's nastiness and craziness. And she was manipulating people to feel in pity for her. Like, she just got off on the pity. Because then she didn't have to do anything. Then her house could be shitty. And everything could be shitty because, oh, pity me, pity me, pity me. And the real issue was that his mother, her grandmother, hated her because she said she was poor Irish trash. She was the youngest of 9 kids. The mother said, she's a gypsy. And she's pretty much right. Even the ex-girlfriend, the Pakistani of the brother, figured it out. Said to me, that woman is evil. She said this to me at one of her cousin's weddings. Where the girl, because she realized that, see, I stuck out like a sore thumb with her family. Because they were really, I was kind of like the normal cousin on the Munsters around them, if you remember. You remember the sitcom The Munsters with all the Monster family? They had that one cousin that was completely normal. That's what I was like. So when somebody else would get involved with one of the cousins and they happened to be normal, because there was another normal girl that married one of her other cousins who approached me at another wedding and said, what is the story with this family? And I was like, and I said to her, I'm like, just keep him as far away from them as possible. And that's what I try to do, because it was poison. But because the father and the grandmother were so nasty, even to me, the father didn't talk to me for a year. When we broke up, when me and my ex-wife broke up when I was 22, for 6 weeks, he didn't talk to me for a year just so he could brutalize me. And it was getting to the point where, like, I'm going to knock him out if he continues to do this. Like, it was that disrespect. Like, he was just disrespecting me. And then when I got tricked into marrying her, the father then welcomed me with open arms, because now he's like, his fear was, oh shit, he's no use to me because he already broke up with her once. My ex-wife, knowing what a pain in the ass she is. Now I'm going to be stuck with her and baby Huey over here the rest of my life. Because I think deep down, even he knew baby Huey wasn't going to get his act together. And the shame of him is, the shame of baby Huey is, he's one of the smartest guys you ever want to talk to. He's not a dumb guy, and I don't even dislike him personally. I like him. He's a nice guy. But what a boob. 45 years old, lives with his mother. Mom's doing his laundry. But back to what I was saying. After I got engaged with my ex-wife, the father insisted, said, listen, you two need to figure out if you can live together before you even get married, because I don't want this basically saying, I don't want her coming back to me. All right, fine. I had a big apartment in a big 2-bedroom. She moves in with me, okay? So once she's moved in with me and living with me, because we lived together about a year and a half before we got married. Got engaged in 97. We didn't get married till 99. So she lived with me for that year and a half, 2 years. On the father's insistence, she moves in with me. The grandmother, who apparently has a hotline to Jesus, okay, had a hotline to Jesus, okay, hypocrite bitch that she was, then had a problem. Started calling us heathens and like I'm the biggest piece of garbage. So she starts openly brutalizing me every time she sees me, making comments to me. And I never told my ex-wife this, but her mother heard it, and her mother laughed. The last time she called me a wapdago under her breath as I walked by her. And I leaned into her and I said, you ever disparage me again, I'm going to hit you with a fire extinguisher. And the shock in her eyes was like, because I'm done with it. She moved in with me because your son insisted. My ex-father-in-law told her. I insisted. She didn't care. She was going to get her pound of flesh. Now everybody else is the victim. The mother's the victim. And there's her mother acting like she's the victim of all of this. And people are staring at her poor mother. Oh, how do you put up with it, Lynn? How do you do it? How do you do it? How do you do it? Meanwhile, the mother's been the one manipulating it the entire time. The entire time. Now that the father's gone and dead, she's got nobody to make her feel. Now it's all just her and baby Huey. And what I came to realize is she was the one who wanted to move to South Carolina, who wanted to get away from my ex. Because really it was about getting away from my ex-wife. It was about alienating her and making her feel like the outsider. In a lot of ways, my ex-wife is a victim of narcissism herself. Okay? But our whole relationship was based on narcissism, of us both being abuse victims. And it wasn't healthy. It was destructive. But she crossed that line, man, where either they broke her to the point where she couldn't come back, or she's too far gone. She doesn't care. She's on the narcissism train. She's going to be like the enabler narc or whatever she wants to do now. Either way, I can't help her, because she knows how hard I fought for her. With my parents, with her parents, and for the situation to be where it's at now, where she knows we weren't healthy for each other, but she didn't care. So the last couple times I had called up there, what had happened was my ex-wife will then call her mother, and her mother will then stay on the phone with her as protection. And this is what the mother does. The mother is the one stirring the goddamn pot, along with my father. The two people who you thought were the victims, my father of my crazy mother, and her mother of his pain-in-the-ass father and grandmother, are the ones actually pulling the strings the whole time. Because now the father's gone. The grandmother's dead. She has no reason to be a victim anymore. She's now a bank manager. She's making decent money. Their house is paid off, so why are you still a victim? They got insurance money. She was saying, oh, I'm going to come back to New Jersey and spend time with my granddaughter. She never did. There's no reason for her to stay in South Carolina, for either one of them, with her 45-year-old son working in a cell phone store, and she's just working in a bank. Your granddaughter means so much to you? No, this is because the narcissist can't stop the drama. And my point is, if you look at your enabler, I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, that enabler is a narcissist hiding behind the crazier person. The enabler is the super narcissist, the covert narcissist, hiding behind the overt narcissist. There are some legitimate spouses who enable because they are abused, I think. But at least in my experience and the people that I seem like I'm dealing with on this channel, the enablers aren't that much different than the narc, other than the enabler is introverted and the narc can't control themselves. Like my mother's so crazy, she can't control herself. My father-in-law was a borderline, like my mother, can't control himself. The mood swings, the stomping around, the slamming. Every day, every time we went down there. We usually went down there 2 to 3 times a year to South Carolina since they moved down in '99 till the time I left in '08. 2 to 3 times a year, sometimes 4 after Aaron was born. We would stay usually anywhere from 8 to 10 days. And if it wasn't for 6 of those days, at least, where he wasn't coming home, stomping around, pissed off about something, and the mother would just say, oh, I can't even get anything done, you know, can you help me? I'm telling you, when you go no contact, okay, you are able, and I'm going to keep pounding this no contact drum, because the longer you stay no contact, the more clarity you're getting on your life, the more clearly you're going to see things, and the quicker you're going to heal. Let me know what you think. Take a look at those of you who have ended up, who have been abused, who have ended up with that narcissistic spouse. Let me know. What were their family like? Really give it some thought. Think about it. And I think a lot of times you're going to figure out, like, God damn it, it's the same freaking pattern. that I grew up with, that I had to deal with. That's how you end up with them, because the pattern's the same. It's familiar to you. When you're no contact, you're going to see it clearly the longer you stay that way, and you're going to have to stay that way. So I'm going to wrap this up here. Let me know what you think. I'm going to have another video out very shortly on, I'm going to do part 3 of narcissistic baby boomers, because I got a lot to say on that. And again, with this feminism subject, I'm done with it. I'm done with it. If you contact me, and I put my Facebook out to everybody, and I can't contact everybody because I get a lot of messages, but I knew something was up because I was getting a boom, 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 boom. I'm like, what the hell is this about? I'm just going to block you. And if you change your name and you keep coming at it, then we're going to, then I'm going to embarrass you. Then I'm going to embarrass you. Okay? Because I'm not going to spend a lot of time sitting here arguing with you. I'm not. Because it's going to go nowhere. Okay, everybody. I'm going to wrap this up here. This is Ollie Matthews. I'll see you all again real soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.